What went down in court today during Brendan Sorsby's hearing in Lubbock, Texas? Our very own Zyler Buchanan was in the room and is here with us to give us a full breakdown of Brendan Sorsby's court case. Zyler, what were the scenes like in Lubbock this morning? And what are your main takeaways from the defense's case against the NCAA for Brendan Sorsby?
Yeah, great question. I cosplayed as a journalist this morning. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think the funniest part of the whole proceeding was there was a guy who looked like he came in with golf attire, and he sat and watched maybe 30 minutes. And then one of the bailiffs had to say, "Hey, listen, there's no shorts allowed in the courtroom." And he had to get escorted out during the hearing. That was maybe the highlight for me. But yeah, interesting. It's so funny the way that our arguments play out online and the way that we talk about them on our show and on Twitter and on the message boards and on talk shows is so different than how it plays out legally and what actually matters in that courtroom. They don't really mention anything about the NCAA having partnerships with betting programs. And, that's not important. It doesn't change anything. And what they're looking for, and I'm not going to pretend to be a legal expert, but what they're looking for is just they want the temporary injunction, and that's not guilty or not guilty. You're not. That's not the level of proof that you're looking for there. And so the proceedings, as they kind of laid out, it was Kessler starts, who is, for those who are unaware, is Brendan Sorsby's lead attorney. Golly, I guess that's a tongue twister of some kind. Brendan Sorsby, notably absent. He was not at the proceedings, which I thought was interesting, but probably wise. Kessler went for 48 minutes. Dude stood up there and just unloaded. I think very professional, extremely well prepared, and persuasive. When you think about the case, hey, there's this guy that bet thousands of times in what is clearly a cardinal sin and is not allowed in collegiate sports. And after he sat down, you're like, should he really be suspended at all? Is this really a crime? Like, come on, the NCAA is really screwing him. He was just very persuasive in that sense for somebody that's not a judge. So as a layperson, I was incredibly impressed. They came incredibly prepared. I didn't ever think, oh, they should have touched on this or they should have touched on this. Some of the stuff that, they mentioned about, the arbitrary and capricious, which is a term that was thrown out a ton because that's what you're looking for when you're seeking an injunction. When they're talking about how, just a tiny little detail about how they never, formally reviewed the reinstatement, and they never looked at, mitigating factors. I think that's the word, or confounding factors. I can't remember what he used about it being a mental illness and how there's never been a case like that. And so are you actively promoting student well-being when you're doing this? And so kind of all this legal mumbo jumbo to kind of get to a point and say, you're not actually considering this application. That's not fair to Brendan. You need to make sure that you do all these things, and a ton of stuff. And I thought, his case was as presented as well as you could have. Whether you think he should be eligible or not, I think we've all made our cases very clear on that point. I personally don't think he should be eligible, but I won't be shocked if he is granted an injunction. That really won't surprise me at all after what I heard this morning.
So after hearing the case, you still feel like Brendan Sorsby should be ruled ineligible. You spent all morning in the courtroom. You still are getting the sense, in your personal opinion, that they didn't do enough to persuade you.
No, I was very effectively persuaded. Are they going to persuade this retired Tarrant County judge? I think that's a bigger question on whether I was persuaded. I think, to me, it's really simple. You bet on the sport, and that's enough. I think the NCAA and their attorneys made this case. It's not the root cause. It's the action that's disqualifying. It's not. And he made the dumb argument about the DUI and the alcoholic. Like, I don't think that's really compelling. And then just one comment on the NCAA's team, just not. And those guys are obviously very successful attorneys. The NCAA does not employ bums. You could just tell it was it's like watching a really good Division I basketball player, and then you watch an NBA player. You're like, oh, wow, there is a difference. These are two different, and they just did some things that the people around me, a lot of the tech attorneys that I sat with, just didn't really appreciate. They thought it was unprofessional and didn't really approach things maybe how people in West Texas would care for that. But, I mean, they did a good job. I mean, their case is very clear. We have these rules about gambling. You gambled on the sport not once, not twice, but thousands of times. You should not be eligible. That is a very clear-cut case. And that's essentially what their argument was. And then they argued some of the more the judicial arguments. There's a case involving a Texas A&M basketball player that was settled last month that they had all sorts of conversations about the procedure and whether that case had been settled or some stuff that I did not understand. And they spent a significant amount of time on that. But ultimately, the heart of their argument is what we've said. should you be allowed to play in a sport that you actively bet on? And I think that's what the judge is going to have to decide, and not necessarily that, but that's the crazy thing. It's not should a player that bet on his own sport be eligible. It's did the NCAA act unfairly in applying their rule to Brendan Sorsby, given that he has a mental illness? That's the case that Kessler and them are asking them to consider, not whether a player that gambles on his sport should be eligible. So weird differences there.
So, Conrad, with that mental illness component, with where Kessler and Brendan's defense team are going, compelling case, certainly. Your thoughts on how the NCAA handled that, and what do you feel? What are you getting the sense after reading what Zyler was tweeting from the courtroom? We saw Red Raider Sports tweeting, a bunch of other people coming in and sharing their thoughts. Now that we've been able to sit on this for the rest of the day, what are your thoughts overall on that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I think I saw it was either Zyler's tweet or somebody else's tweet. I forget who it was. But none of the, Zyler, correct me if I'm wrong, but none of the additional information that was released on Friday really played a part in this conversation at all today in the courtroom, correct?
No, it didn't seem to have and I think somebody on our Discords has mentioned this. The amount of bets that Sorsby has done almost plays in his favor. Like if he would have done 2 or 3, I think it's a shut and dry. It's case closed. But the fact that it was so rampant and the additional information of how rampant it was doesn't really change the fact that, yeah, dude, this guy clearly had a problem. Oh, here's more evidence stating that he clearly had a problem. There was no discussion about, Sorsby bet on unders or Sorsby. The one thing the NCAA said is that Sorsby was betting against Indiana basketball. And that was the only specific betting instance that they called out. And it's like at that point, I'm like, ultimately that doesn't really matter to me. That's not a huge deal. But yeah, they didn't really talk about any of that other stuff that was in the Athletic article or the ESPN article. Granted, it's going to be in evidence, it's in those affidavits that the judge is going to read. So it's not like it wasn't considered. It wasn't verbally talked about in their opening arguments or their closing arguments.
One paragraph that Shahan, a friend of the show, released in his article, I believe it was this morning on CBS Sports, it says this: granting an injunction would mean that Curry, that's the judge, believes that there's validity to the case that Sorsby is bringing against the NCAA and that it would cause him permanent damage not to play. Denying an injunction would mean that Sorsby would not get the benefit of playing while going through the legal process. With the timeline of the case, it would de facto end his college career. Now, the first sentence of that was interesting to me, reading it from Shahan, and that it would cause him permanent damage not to play. I think that case can be very clearly and very well made that this would cause him permanent damage in his college career and in his professional career if there is one not to play. And so based on that and the other factors, Zyler, what I'm hearing you saying, what I saw all the tweets say, is that there was a case made or not. It's just, does it persuade the judge? And on one side of it, Zyler, from your perspective and from so many others, should he be eligible? No. Again, am I going to be upset if he is eligible? Absolutely not. So I just thought that paragraph was interesting, considering what you just said and what you were tweeting from the courthouse today.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And again, it's this weird, our brains are so fried by TV legal drama. This was not who has the better case. It's, does Sorsby have the potential to really have any case at all if this actually went to trial? That's what they're essentially trying to figure out. And the irreparable harm thing, I think the Kessler side of that was very clearly illustrated, and he uses the NCAA's own words. Essentially the SEC, it just means more. It's not just football. It's not just that it's competing and being with your teammates and doing all that. You don't just get that in the NFL. It's different. And I think that's very clear that there will be irreparable harm. It's does he actually deserve to, succeed on the merits? And again, please do not mistake me for an attorney. I am reading and digesting and trying to portray a lot of that and what's being told to me. It was the two guys that I sat with, I was actually really thankful. It's a two tech law grads, just really helped clarify a lot of the things and understand some of the points and where guys would slip up. Kessler wasn't perfect, neither was the NCAA, where they would say things and it's oh, that's not actually how he should have said that. or procedural things that they messed up on, or they even quoted that Indiana volleyball coach, a case that I had never even heard of. They bet I think $372,000 in total bets, and they mentioned that very briefly in the closing arguments. And it's like, how can you say that you're not applying the rules capriciously and selectively or subjectively if this person was only required to do a certain amount of time? Again, that case has more layers to it. I think there's a 2-year show cause, and so there's other penalties associated with that. But it was fascinating. It's so interesting hearing how that works, because they all show up, they all sit down, they make their arguments, and they walk out and get in a car and they leave and they fly home. And it's like, it's over for them. It's over for the legal team.
It's a job. Yeah,
it is a job. It's so funny how when you talk about it and you write about it, and then it happens and it's over. And it's like, wow, this kid's collegiate career is going to be decided by this old 70-year-old white guy that heard their argument.
From New York.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's an interesting argument that they're making on the mental illness side of things, because I think I understand what they're doing to the NCAA by saying that is, are you essentially like, you don't care about your student athlete's mental health and his ability to play the game he loves. Yes, he made a mistake. We're not admitting that he didn't make a mistake. We're willing to take a 2-game suspension. He admits he made a mistake. And so I see what they're doing there, and I do think that's probably the best path to go, to file an injunction. We'll see what the judge says. But ultimately, the fact that it's gotten to this far, do we feel like if you had to pick right now, coin flip, or is it still, Z, based off being there, you feel like it's very unlikely he gets the injunction?
Again, I was probably foolish in revising my estimates downward with that Friday news dump. It's not like that was going to be unfamiliar to either of the legal teams. I think the initial assessment of like 8 to 15%, I think that feels about right for me. Now, there were guys, again, more legally sound and who understand, who are practicing attorneys, that thought, oh yeah, dude, I thought they crushed it. I think he's going to have a really good chance of getting that temporary restraining order. Just all the different ways that they attacked the particular case. So, for me, I don't feel as confident, but those guys that know more, I mean, they thought it was a really compelling case. Now, again, what's in those exhibits? How do they lay out their arguments? What's the judge going to find compelling? Who knows? This is a guy completely unfamiliar. We don't know how long this is going to take. So I don't know. I still feel pretty low, but definitely not impossible, and I won't be shocked either way. And to Conrad's point, I'm not going to apologize either way. We started spending like a big boy program, and we're going to, attack the legal department like a big boy program, and regardless of how I feel about that.
So did you feel like a big boy today? You got a suit on today in the courtroom?
Yeah. I went with the, walking up, I felt this is a little too fraternal. I had the Navy. It was a nice Navy jacket, white button up, and then the tan pants, but very dressed for the occasion. There was a girl after the first little recess. She came up to me and said, "Hey, can you brief me on what they were talking about? I'd kind of like to get caught up. I came in a little bit late." I was like, you are talking to the wrong person.
Well, she saw the most attractive guy in the courtroom and just beeline right to him is what happened.
That is not what happened. She thought, this guy looks completely confused and looking for a friend. But it was funny. I was like, I don't know. You should ask somebody else.
That's funny.
What was her response?
She said, well, did he say anything about X, Y, and Z? And I was like, no. I need you to understand that I don't know what's going on. Like, I am not an attorney. This is kind of like going to the movies for me. I'm enjoying this. It was fun seeing the guys from Red Raider Sports. Met Lane and Jarrett. Good guys. Great talking to those dudes. So
any big wigs in there that I mean, anyone from On3, Pete Nakos, like anyone that you saw?
No, I did see Robert Giovanetti, friend of the show. We've got to have him on again this summer. He was, I didn't get to say hi to him. I just saw him in the back, and then he exited pretty quickly. But always good to see Gio. He thought it went well. We texted afterwards, and always good hearing from Robert. That guy's so plugged in.
Yeah,
such a great ambassador for Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. There was one other. A bunch of the beat guys. Pete Thamel followed me on Twitter, so that's maybe the biggest follower I have now. So Pete, if you're listening, don't unfollow me. Don't take that from me. It's all I'm pulling on.
Come on the show, Pete. Yeah, but Z, great job. You did a phenomenal job covering it today. We appreciate you being there, obviously, and you brought some professionalism to this show, which is hard to do. So we appreciate that. Conrad, final thoughts from you on this whole situation.
Yeah, I think I speak for maybe not all of Red Raider Nation, but a lot of them, that I'm ready for a resolution one way or another. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for all of us on Twitter and in the YouTube space to stop being pretend attorneys, because we are not. There are only a few of those. Just ready for it to be over, man. I will say I completely understand the argument about him not being eligible. Like, I get it. I was pretty strong, pretty frustrated, and I still am, to be completely transparent with you guys. pretty frustrated at the situation. What we thought we were getting, we're not getting, regardless of the gambling side, the mental health side, all those things. Like, that's neither here nor there. You thought without a doubt Brendan Sorsby was going to be your quarterback for 2026, and now you're not sure. I will say that I would not be shocked if he is granted the injunction and is able to play. Really, truly would not, after reading all these things, hearing all these things. I just find it very hypocritical of the NCAA to do what they're doing, but this is just the type of organization they are. And my hope for them is that they would lose all their power and there would be a new governing board because of their hypocritical actions. Not only in this case, being a profitable organization, not only on the backs of college athletes for so long, but also profiting off gambling. I don't really have a lot of respect for the organization. I think there is a reset needed in college sports. And so I think this would just be a great way to stick it to them, but also a big win for Texas Tech. And so I'm excited to see what happens there. And regardless, we'll be here for 2026. And if not, we'll still be winning the Big 12 championship. So it'll all be good.
Gentlemen, we've also got a game 2 of the semifinals about to take pitch. Any predictions?
Yeah, we're dropping this. We're recording this in between the 2 softball games, dropping this on Tuesday morning. Obviously, when you're listening, Texas Tech's going to ride the wave, man. Mia Williams.
Dude.
Man.
Hey, if y'all are if anybody's in the Discord, I just want to pat myself on the back. After we gave up that home run, I immediately just said, Mia Williams walk-off home run. Trust. Like, that's just what's going to happen. And
you actually did call that.
It happened.
Yeah.
I beat Brendan to it. I know he would have said it if he would have had an extra 2 to 3 seconds, because I know that.
Yeah, we know my love for Mia Williams, Jackie Liss, Lauren Allred, all of them. I love them all. We just need good pitching. I'm predicting Texas Tech to win, face Texas. So with that, we will find out. If you're listening to this and we lost, I apologize, but I'm predicting a win. But Conrad, ton of fun, man. We are here every Monday and Thursday in the Broadway Shuffle. Special episode here because of Zyler's ability to be in the courtroom today. But you can follow, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, and find us on Texas Tech Plus. We appreciate all of the shufflers that are with us each and every week. We would love to add some of you. It's 100% free. So we look forward to seeing all of you again on Thursday with the latest information and hopefully talking about a Texas Tech World Series Game 1 win Thursday morning. So for Conrad Zyler, I'm Brennan. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
He makes the catch. He's going